MAGA and the splitting, the two factions warring with each other as we fight over war with Iran. So, who passes the MAGA purity test? How will it sway Trump? And who's pulling the strings there on his influence? Here's a tweet here from Sean Parash, who's does his Trump impersonations, is a MAGA influencer, and is on one side of this, trying to be a voice of reason. And I do normally like his tweets. I don't agree with everything, but certainly good for the most part. But he's saying the silver lining of the Middle East conflict is that MAGA is going through a healthy detox, because a lot of the people who appeared to be on our side have pulled the mask off and exposed themselves. They're not on our side anymore. The Candaces of the world wanted to hijack MAGA like cancer hijacks the body. So it's healthy for us to acknowledge this and react accordingly. Well, I think, it is healthy to have these debates, perhaps a little bit of a purity test. Although there are a lot of people who are, fake and they're grifters in this movement. I'm not saying Sean is one of them. I do like Candace a lot. She has also said a lot of crazy things that I'm not 100% sure if I'm on board with either. And I do like the fact that she's bold and feisty. There's also a lot of people on the other side of the MAGA movement who I think are absolute, cartoonish cult followers. And I like some of their content, but they can be a little bit over the top. And a lot of them, they're trying to decide who's legit and who's not. But a lot of people on that side came from the neocon camp. Formerly, never Trumpers. Who's in charge of the world right now? Is it Trump in America, or is it actually Bibi in Israel? It's very interesting. And are we being dragged into a war we don't need to? I don't know. Or should we get involved? And this has been a long time coming, because I'm totally open for that too. If we need to get into war with Iran for the right reasons. But I think this has got to be something that's a worldwide effort. It's not just, it's Israel, and then America's going to come in with the muscle, and we're going to finish the job. Nobody wants them to get a nuclear weapon, but it's a matter of how were they really on the verge? After 40 years of hearing this, were they really on the verge of a nuclear weapon? And if Saudi Arabia and everybody else in the world, and if even Russia and China, if we can all team up, the whole world can just sort of, shun Iran. Would that actually finally do something? Could we get a regime change the right way? Could they hold a good election? Or maybe they can split Iran into different regions that can run themselves. And there's going to be one group of fundamentalists, and they can go create their own little utopia. And there could be other parts of the country that can be, welcomed by the Western world again. It should be an interesting experiment if that's possible to pull off. But if it's just up to Israel and America, then I don't think this is going to go that well. There's a lot of potential to backfire. Trump is going to decide on U.S. action in Iran within 2 weeks. So this is good. There's the rational, hey, let's think about this for a couple of weeks before we decide what we're going to do. Now, the only problem with that is Bibi's doesn't have that same kind of patience. So it's like Trump can be, hey, I'm a reasonable guy. Let's make a deal. Let's wait a couple weeks. But if something doesn't happen on, day 15, then Bibi's going to be, dropping bombs somewhere, escalating it, and then we're supposed to have his back, or you're a bad person. You're anti-Semitic. But let's check out the other side, the nightmare red alerts, because Alex is part of this as well. He's being criticized in the MAGA purity test, being called out by so many. If you're a blind loyalist to Trump and he's got things under control, or you're with the crazy isolationists. But let's look at the red alert from Alex Jones. Here is the potential fear mongering.
Well, just yesterday, the president decided to send 2 aircraft carrier battle groups. Those are 12 ships each to the Gulf. That shows that we are preparing for something terrible, and that scares the daylights out of me.
You do, in the history, watch naval movements. You also watch the propaganda. And as soon as Netanyahu came out 48 hours ago and said, I'm not negotiating, Trump's posture completely changed to basically not negotiating.
And speaking of negotiating, I want to get into a excellent article. It's called The Iran Trap, and everyone wants Americans to fight their wars for them. Yeah, that's the easiest way. Certainly easy for Israel to go start a fight and then just turn to America to go do something about it, to get their back. For Trump, is that on the nuclear negotiations suggest he is continuing to push for peace. But Israel put the kibosh on any diplomatic plan when they just assassinated multiple Iranian military leaders. So there's no going back after the direct targeting of so many high-ranking officials, and that may have been Israel's intention. So we want to talk about peace, and they were scheduled to have peace talks, but then Israel just went ahead and took out all of the people who were going to be talking about peace. So as far as I'm concerned, Bibi and Israel just undermined the peace negotiations there by doing that. But again, I'm open-minded to this, but we still haven't seen any proof of that. Iran was actually imminently on the verge of having nuclear weapons, and they were going to somehow immediately fire those nuclear weapons at Israel, just blindsided in the middle of the night. And now, but just they trust him. And the other thing is, Bibi Netanyahu has something like a 30% approval. A lot of the people there hate him. They're calling for his ouster. They want him to step down from power. And now he's more powerful than ever. And you could debate he's the most powerful man in the world. Many people think, yes, it's Bibi pulling strings on Trump and not the other way around. But personally, I think that Bibi acted, around Trump. That Trump wanted a peace negotiation, Trump wanted to make a deal, and that Israel and Bibi went behind his back and decided to preemptively strike Iran, and they intend to pull Trump into it to finish the job. I could be wrong. I don't care. It's not about, being right or patting myself on the back as I got the prediction right. It just, it's throwing out all these possibilities, strategizing, philosophizing, trying to find some solutions out of this. This should be something that everybody has a conversation about before we get dragged into something based on lies. And we've seen this happen before with the WMDs in Iraq. Is you can't have peace negotiations if you just murdered all of the people that were going to be a part of those peace negotiations. So let's get back to the video.
Now has gone to total surrender statements today and telling people to evacuate last night out of Tehran. And then I was watching Fox yesterday, just sampling it. They were like, let's be honest, in transparency, we're going to war. It's regime change. And they were smiling, and I was just, wow. And I think you're right. In fact, let's just say it. Barring a miracle, the United States starts a bombardment in the next week, I think for sure. And it's going to be massive. And then I think at that point, the Iranians are going to retaliate. Even if they don't, I think we're going to see a false flag. You got Netanyahu licking his lips, saying, oh, the Iranians want to kill Trump. The deep state's been pre-programming that. They could kill Trump and then say it's Iran. I mean, we are entering maximum danger.
Okay, so are we going to let Bibi talk us in to World War III based on the same lies and 40 years of telling us that Iran was on the verge of having a nuclear weapon? I would say pause. But again, I don't know. We pause, and then he's going to go and attack. So he's a tough character to play with. And like I said, when he's down 30%, so he's got a 30% approval rating. So 70% of his country doesn't like the guy. The ICC wants to put him in the Hague, try him for war crimes. And now he's out preemptively striking Iran and trying to drag us into war. And we're supposed to just go along with it. I don't like that. So I would like to see more public debates and more proof before we do anything. Exactly, Deb. It's the same playbook over and over.
John Kiriakou has been former high-level CIA counterterrorism head in Afghanistan. He talked to his sources in the agency. He said, no, you heard him last hour. The word is it's already done. The U.S. is going to war with Iran.
So this is the dividing line with MAGA. We shouldn't be afraid. We shouldn't be like, oh, just trust Trump to do whatever he wants to do. He's got this all to himself. He's got it figured out. He's 5D chess. He's always 20 steps ahead. We should never question him. And if anybody does, you're not real MAGA. Well, I would disagree with that. We saw that the first Trump term. Trump did great, but he can get surrounded by a bunch of with neocons, bad people around him who are going to influence him in the bad ways. And if he can see something from Alex, some of these other voices within MAGA criticizing these decisions, it allows him to think and allows him to see the other side. So it's healthy to have this discourse. So anybody saying that, you shouldn't be able to put out different opinions, or you shouldn't possibly criticize Trump, I don't know what Trump is doing, but I want him to make sure that he's got all of the information there, that he's seeing the full picture, as much of it as he can, before he makes any big decisions that could, hurt him as well. But, listening to some of these influencers, it's not the case at all. Let's look at this clown. He's one of the more outspoken ones. Brendan Dilley wants to give a big shout out to all the dickhead influencers who have spent the last week showing your ass and then pivoted back towards Trump when you realized you overplayed your hand. I don't think MAGA is going to forget so easily this time, as if he's gets the arbiter. He's one of the three arbiters. It's Brendan Dilley and Vince Langman and Cat Turd. And you have to appease all three to pass the MAGA purity test. So I don't see how they've overplayed their hand. I mean, there's a few that have gone off the rails. Maybe you can make that case for Candace. Or maybe even Dave Smith. I like Dave Smith a lot. He was saying, we got to impeach Trump now. Maybe that's a little too far. We pull back a little bit, but hey, it's all of us. And we're all going to have our, emotional, impulsive moments. Not going to be at our best, but are we going to, run this big test? Make sure that everybody was 100% loyal and obedient. And we're going to check all the receipts, and we're going to excommunicate you from any further MAGA activities going forward. This insurrection Barbie, as I'm digging in, she's been like a prominent influencer. I don't pay her too much attention, but she's been one of the more outspoken people recently as far as the MAGA purity test goes, and just extremely 100% Israel all the way, which is unusual. You're seeing people like the Hodge twins also being also very MAGA, but against the war. So there's been a lot of infighting on them. And Insurrection Barbie was saying, if I came out against Israel, I could make $10,000 a month to post how Israel is the cause of all our problems. Being anti-Israel is big money right now. Anyone telling you the opposite is a straight up liar. Everybody knows now that Israel is highly influential and has a lot of money. Not just AIPAC, it could be talking to some of these influencers to persuade their opinion on the Israel war. And so now they're just projecting, and they're saying that it's all like it's coming out of Qatar, and that they're the ones that are, using influencers to push propaganda that's anti-Israel. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but they're acting like it's pervasive, and it's not true, and it's totally projecting, taking the heat off of them because they're most likely paid influencers. So that insurrection Barbie has actually been exposed and doxxed. Pled guilty of felony theft, disbarred. I guess she was a lawyer, fraud and forgery. But then all of a sudden in 2022, she started this Insurrection Barbie account on X where she peddles Israel propaganda nonstop. And in 2025, she's already got 1 million followers and has been reposted by Elon Musk multiple times. So this is all documented, and she admits it. So it's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of paid influencers on this platform. So you've got to be careful on who you're listening to. So that's weird because, Insurrection Barbie came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden she's getting just tons of views on all of these regular posts. You got to question, the AI, are they real people? But they're just as bad as some of these like leftist accounts. Now they're calling for the purity tests. It's wild. How about some voice of reason from Health Ranger Mike Adams, saying, I fought for Trump for the last 9 years, although I didn't always agree with his decisions. He defended him through the multiple impeachment hoaxes, the Russian collusion hoax. Always stated that he won the 2020 election, which was rigged, risked everything, put on multiple lists by Democrats, was censored, deplatformed, smeared, blacklisted, demonetized, death threatened, and visited by the FBI over J6. But if Trump plunges us into a war in the Middle East and places America in the position of fighting Israel's insane illegal wars of aggression and colonization, I will walk away from Trump and never look back. My loyalty to Trump depends entirely on his loyalty to America. And if he walks away from America first, he will lose most of his base, including people like me. Right now, Trump stands on the precipice of political suicide, and Netanyahu keeps telling him to jump. So will he? And I agree very much with Mike Adams here. In fact, I've made also major sacrifices with my life to get involved with this election. 2016 specifically, against Hillary, it was like, we have to win. Like the patriots of this country have to win, get behind Trump, beat Hillary or Jeb Bush or whoever, and get on Donald Trump's side. He's our only chance at turning things around in this country. And I have been on that bandwagon for a long time. I got to go back and find my really old podcast where I was even saying I think Trump should run for president in 2016. And then I supported him and also went through the personal sacrifice, lost my career, my home, everything. It went through bankruptcy, all kinds of personal and financial hell to try to make a difference in, getting Trump and changing this country. So I don't need any of these new MAGA people, all of a sudden these influencers that came out of nowhere trying to tell me that, I've got to support this war, I'm not real MAGA. Whatever, dude. Some of these people, they have things so easy. It's so easy to be just a blind, cult follower, support Trump 100% of the time, no matter what, and go along with whatever Israel wants. That's so easy, and yet you can have a great career. And some of these people are highly successful just because of that. So they know how to play the game. They've used it to their advantage, and now they're using a purity test to go after the independent people, the people that have really, gone through the ringer. trying to do the right thing. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, others warning if the U.S. goes to war with Iran, it will destroy the American empire. I'm just going to play a quick clip of this.
The next 200 days are some of the most perilous times for the American Republic in its history. Because if we don't get this sorted, we're going to be drawn in totally into a conflict as a combatant, as not a supplier of logistics, or as an actual combatant, a participant in the situation in Ukraine, what they did in Russia, and the situation of what Israel is right now doing to the mullahs, as bad as they are and as evil as they are, right? We're going to get sucked into a shooting war of which it'll be 10 years and the casualties will dwarf anything you saw in World War II.
Like, all of that is now ignored because a leader of a country who does not have majority support in that country, probably 30% support, wants a course of action that includes the United States.
Don't drag us into another war. Oh, you're not real MAGA. You're defying Trump. As part of a good faith, I really would like to see Bibi step down from power as well. If there's going to be a regime change in Iran, then we should also do a regime change in Israel. Those people don't like Bibi either. We'll see if that happens and if that could be worked out. A peaceful solution to an impossible problem. But I think you need to pull some other countries involved, including some of the ones that are more Iranian type of allies. But if you can get Saudis, if you can get some Middle Eastern countries along with China, Russia, and to all just stand together and just find a peaceful resolution to have Ayatollah Khamenei step down and put in a new regime, then I think that could pull it off. And then Bibi also to exit the scene. That would be a good faith way to save the day.